file. Okay, stream starting as well. Hey everyone, this is Chill. We're gonna be getting going here in just a moment. OotiniCast, episode 345. This is the live version going out on Twitch. And it's going out on Twitch and then on YouTube. And eventually, not eventually, tonight I will edit it and it will go out tomorrow as a podcast, an audio podcast. So, we are just about ready to go. So yes, the stream is now going, and I think we're all ready. It's just Dr. SWTOR and myself tonight. I checked with Deck and Fee, and there wasn't really any new news as far as the guilds go. There were some upcoming events that Fee mentioned during her update last week. So if you have any questions about that, you can. It was during the guild update during episode 344. And I'll also mention that during the main part of this show. Okay, so Dr. SWTOR, if you're ready, I don't see any reason why not to get going. My Audacity's rolling, everything else seems to be good, and I'm ready to go.
Yep, my Audacity looks like it's not picking up sound from here, so that's good. We're ready to go.
Beautiful. All right. Going in 5. Hey, Marcus. Hi, and welcome to the OotiniCast, the podcast that got kicked out of the Imperial Academy for having a mind of its own. This is episode 345, being recorded on Thursday, October 11th, 2018. We did an extra episode because we had a dev stream, and that's the main focus of this episode. I'm your host, Chill, and with me is my co-host, Dr. SWTOR. Hey, Doc.
Hey, Chill, let's do this. There is no try with live streams.
That's right. And no guests. We are just doing this special just for to update the Utini folks about the dev stream that happened today, just a couple of hours ago. It started 3 hours ago and ended 90 minutes later, almost exactly. So we will do a few basics that we normally do every episode. So we're going to start with our week. So Dr. SWTOR, what have you done since last episode?
Well, my big update for this is I did not do Conquest last week. So just to go with there is no try, I could say I tried to do Conquest last week, but that would not be true to my following of Yoda's teaching. So for the first time since becoming involved with the Utini guilds, I basically did nothing to help.
Do not.
Right. It was just sort of a combination of how my life was going all the way through Tuesday, and I just, yesterday morning happened and I didn't get my boxes on any tunes, and I was just like, oh, guess I didn't target my time, right?
Yeah.
So I did play my raid team that I'm in with Marcus and some AIE folks over on Starforge. We kind of circumvented Nahut. Someone had a lockout, so we kind of cheated, but we beat Gods from the Machine on Sunday. I learned some really important things that will definitely be in play during SWTOR Unite on November 10th.
Okay.
And
less than a month away now.
It is, yeah. So that was a really important evening because I haven't killed him in about a month. So, they're always changing things, just the little number tables for the game, and it turns out that things that I used to do very easily were not as easy. We had to figure out another way to make it work. So there was a progression element, which is really cool when you're doing story mode ops for that to even be part of the experience. And my Utini raid team, Goonies Never Say Die, we're filling in our progression chart on the engine website, and that's fun. We're kind of making sure that we have everything on the story mode level before jumping fully into the hard mode level, but that's fun because we're getting a concept of team chemistry and a feel for how our tanks are naturally going to choose what they're going to do in the heat of a battle. And I'm a healer, so that's really important for me to know that, you know, Ducky will go this way and SWTOR Steve will go this way. And you get that just by playing with people night in and night out.
Right. Right.
And we made a new announcement for SWTOR Unite that went out on Twitter this morning. It has the actual, directly says what SWTOR Unite is. And when it is and where it's going to be, at least where it's going to start. You know, my vision for it is that let's start it on my Twitch channel, and then if we can raid it over to some other members of the team throughout the night as we progress, that could be something that could be really cool for the audience if we can make that work right. So, you know, I'm really excited, you know, just organizing all that information. Hearing it come up on the different podcasts has been a really cool part of my week.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really excited that Max and Seema said that I deserve a cake or a corn dog for putting all the work in doing the online polls to organize the flock of people. So just really busy, found some time to do some SWTOR stuff, and looking forward to the next week. So how about you, Chill?
All right. Well, let me do a shout out to the chat room. We have some people here, even on this unusual time for us. Agent Iron Spider's here. Deck is here. Deckion. Liba Aroha's here. This guy, SWTOR, Squishy Twitchy. Sorry, Saber. Marcus is here as Working Class Nerd 17. And Zen0001. Hello, everyone. All right. And first of all, Deckion and Fee both said there wasn't too much in the way of guild news, so it's just Dr. SWTOR and myself tonight. There was a pretty big update from Fee last episode, so if you need to update yourself on what's going on in the guild, her big update from last week is still the valid one. And as far as what I did, I hard leveled on the on the SWTOR Unite server. And I got my agent Chill through all. Okay, 1 week ago. So this is 1 week ago. I was like in Config Kotet. I had disting 70, I believe, and I think I was like I'd only gotten a few boxes. I had just ding 70. I was like level 4 or 6 or something like that. So I finished all of Kotfi, all of Kotet, IOCath, and the Trader's Trilogy. So I did all of that, and now I'm just working. Yeah, I'm working on dailies, and didn't get a whole lot of CXP levels during Coffee Kota. They're just not very efficient, especially the way I do them, where I actually watch the cutscenes. So now I'm working on like the weekly areas. So I'm doing Section X and the Black Hole and CZ and all those good ones. And though that plus the double CXP event, and finally getting a double CXP boost. Finally. Yeah. I have several now, but I had none for like a while, which was starting to get frustrating, but I finally got some, and now it's good. I've got several. I'm all ready to go. In fact, I got a little lucky because I checked the GTN, and everything on Starforge is fairly expensive compared to what I'm used to on Satil Shan. But I got lucky in that there was one superior CXP boost that was like well less than the regular market price. So I just snapped it up essentially, and that now I'm fine.
Yeah.
So I've gone from to the low 70s. So from like CXP rank 4, I'm in the low 70s. I have 5 out of the 7 set piece bonus pieces. I don't have chest. I don't have head. So I guess if I wanted to, I could just go grab the 6th one from the fleet, but it doesn't feel really necessary while I'm doing just these dailies and stuff. If I'm gonna like practice an operation or something, maybe I'll grab the 6-piece bonus. But right now, I'm basically right at 230. Almost everything's 230. A couple of 228s hanging around, and that's about it. And it's actually been pretty interesting because I've never really had to like level this hard this fast or gear up this hard and this fast. So it's been an interesting process. I'm now legacy level 18, So I actually have a lot of the stuff that I'm used to is now back because I've been like selling things like crazy on the GTN as well. So I have full rocket boost, I have full cooldown on my quick travel, and a bunch of other stuff that I was really missing, and I'm glad I have again. So
Yeah, that's huge progress this week, Chill.
yeah, yeah, thank you. I spent a lot of time, especially like kind of over the weekend. I had a lot of hours put in trying to get those chapters done before the double CXP event started. I almost got everything done. As it turns out, I did have to do the last two flashpoints in the Traitors trilogy done before, and that was under double CXP, but that was fine. And now I've, like I say, I've just been cranking out the weekly, the daily, weekly areas. So no tip of the week this week. But we do have a Jedi Mind Trap. This is number 3. Doc, take it away.
Yeah. So this is partly inspired by me wanting to get the top layer of, or the beginning layer of all the things that I hope to accomplish with the Mind Trap going. So there are really specific questions that I want to ask down the line, but I need the basic construct of who's following me and how do they play SWTOR before those questions make the amount of sense that I need them to. And I did not complete Conquest this week, but I did play SWTOR. So I was just reflecting on what's been impacting me in SWTOR and what kind of question can I build out of that. And I just came up with the idea that my goal apparently was not to achieve Conquest. It was something else. So, as you know, maybe the time where I use Twitter polls is coming to a close soon because I only get 4 options and limited number of letters for each option. Mm-hmm. But it's doing its job so far. So I had to narrow it to 4. So originally I wanted, Conquest, Operations, Group Content, Flashpoints, PvP. You can't make a good list like that specific to our game when you have 3 choices plus an other if you need it.
Are you going to use one of those like monkey surveys or whatever it is?
Yeah, I could do that. I don't... SurveyMonkey's great when you have a lot of questions that you want to ask. I don't know how many people would be... I think doing it in Twitter, people are more likely just hit their answer and move.
Yep, absolutely.
Right?
I mean, you did it this morning. At the time I did the notes about an hour ago, it was 62 votes. When you put it in just before the show, you had another 15 votes. You're up to 77 votes.
Right.
So it goes pretty well when you make it simple like that.
Yeah, so I might play with the format a little bit. I did on purpose decide not to pursue spreading it across communities I'm connected with until after the live stream, because I kind of felt personally like today should focus on the live stream and then my stuff can happen at 4:30. So anyway, as far as the results, option A is that achievement performance outcome based way of playing, which is to achieve a goal. Right. So if you're a PvP player, maybe you want to complete the daily or the weekly, or maybe you want to increase your ranked standing by a certain amount each time you sign in, or maybe you want to advance through a planet in your class story. So it could be a goal of any kind, and I was hoping that people would be able to see that, I can still see myself in that answer. And then there's more the free-flowing, enjoy the Star Wars planets, and just kind of cherish the opportunity to drive a pod racing vehicle through Voss, right? Like, that maybe you're just... and if there's some quests along the way, or you're able to kill 150 critters and get your conquest points, your rampage. But you're not... You don't really care about that. You just are doing it. And then I was thinking, well, some people they log in only because they're part of a team. Like they have membership in a guild. They have membership in a raid team. Someone asked if they can tank or heal during a flashpoint. so maybe a more social reason. So we have the three pillars of why people play MMOs again. Like in my research for my dissertation, we have achievement, we have immersion, and we have group social reasons. And then I thought, well, some people aren't going to see the nuance of these three, so let's give them an opportunity to say, I don't fit in those categories nicely, but I want to tell you, Dr. SWTOR, what my play is all about. And that was actually a really neat set of engagements throughout the day. So before I explore our far and away winner, Chill, I want to turn it to you. You know, what's your thought process going on Twitter, seeing my poll, and, you know, what goes through your mind when you decide which one wins out in the way that you play?
Right. There are times when I'm logging on to play with a group. I mean, or at least there were, especially when I was doing operations regularly. And then more recently, like with the SWTOR Unite, I am technically trying to achieve a goal. But even when I'm doing a particular stream, I'm usually thinking ahead, okay, I've got about, 3-4 hours in the stream. I can probably get this many, daily areas done, or this many chapters of Kotet, since they take about 45 minutes if you don't skip the cutscenes, that sort of thing. But that's pretty loosey-goosey, and it's not really why I'm logging on. I'm logging on for relax and enjoy, and that's what I chose.
Yeah. And, when I watch your stream, Chill, that's kind of what comes in my mind that makes your stream very different than mine. Because normally I'm all about option A. Right? Now, right. I do play lots of group content, and hopefully my personality is appealing enough that people enjoy having me in their group. But do not be confused. I'm there to kill bosses and earn CXP and get that gear out of those crates. And so that's the thing that rose to the top in my conversations on Twitter, is a lot of people would say I'm A and B, or I'm all three depending on what I'm feeling or what I'm going through when I decide to log in. Right. And so I thought that would happen. I'd anticipated that, and I just posed the next question of, well, which one hurts the most when it's completely missing? Right? So if I log in and I'm thinking I'll do an operation, but story mode so I can relax, maybe a KP or a Dread Palace, something that's not too taxing. I know we're going to win. And but no group shows up, and you can't find a second tank. And so you're not doing an op, right? So that group never forms. And so because the group never forms, you never achieve a goal. And so you end up not playing anything except how many laps can I run around the inner circle of the fleet during this stream.
Right.
Right? So it has a ripple effect where all three are in play, but for that person, the thing that irritates them the most when it doesn't happen is probably a sign of which one is most valuable to them. So some people just losing repeatedly causes a lack of relaxation. It's not fun. You're in this stuffy Dread Palace with these closed walls and this eerie environment, so you're not even enjoying the outdoors. I'm talking about these places like we're actually in them. The outdoors of Alderaan, like it's not relaxing to run around certain places in this game.
True.
Right? So I just think there's a lot of really interesting psychology in this question, even though I kind of went simple with it. So the results of our community, it seems that there are a lot of people who are quite casual and just want to relax and enjoy playing SWTOR. So 73% of the people who have voted so far are in that camp. And just like when I did my dissertation, I was thinking, wow, okay, so I'm going to do this. I'm going to do these questions. Everyone's going to love ops and flashpoints. And they're all going to be like hard mode or bust, or, send me an email when you add Nightmare to Gods from the Machine. And yet again, that's not our community. Those people might be very loud, like in the live stream. When you look at the Twitch chat scrolling 95 miles an hour, and all of it's like, give us the weekly pass back, and give us romance with Kemval. They kind of implied that there is romance with Kemval. We can talk about that later, chill. But I think the majority of people who are just fine not arguing loudly in those chat rooms, they just want to tune in and enjoy Star Wars.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So
I agree.
That's where I got to with our poll this week, chill. So let's move on to the next. Wait, what is it? Oh yeah, you can go about your business, move along. That's what I'm supposed to say there. I'll get it. Everyone. Just give me one more episode. Move along.
Move along. We can add it to the show notes if it helps.
Yeah.
Hey, I mean, there's a reason why I have like all of the outros and stuff still written down, even though I've done it, 345 times.
Yeah.
All right, that'll bring us to the holo feed, and there is only one bit of information. I mean, there's one general Star Wars bit of news where there's like this rumor of who the villain is going to be in Episode 9, but it's just rumor. I'm not terribly interested in. It's not terribly. It's not really certain, which rumor is actually correct. I've actually seen several versions of it now. So anyway, so this is all about the live stream Cantina that was done by Musco and Charles, starting at 3 p.m. Pacific today and ended 90 minutes later. It was all about the upcoming game update 5.10, Jedi Under Siege. They did announce that it is coming in December. The exact date still to be announced. And they also said that there's going to be a PTS coming out in the next few days. They're working on it very hard, and pretty soon it'll be out. They also said later on in the stream that the Jedi Under Siege, because it has a daily area with some story involved with it, but the PTS is not under non-disclosure, so therefore you might need to kind of avoid certain, Twitter or social media kind of things if you really want to avoid spoilers for the story, because people will be allowed to sort of do spoilers of Jedi Under Siege when the PTS comes up. So fair warning under that. I won't, I'll just be sticking to what they actually said during this Cantina. One of the first things they did was they gave out a code for everyone to put in. So you go to SWTOR.com, you log under your account name, and then under My Account, there's a code entry, and then you put SW Cantina 2018, all one word, and all uppercase. Anyway, that worked. I actually did that, and it worked for me. I haven't been in game to actually see it, but it is a flare. So in past times, the Cantina codes have tended to give you a little box that goes to your character's mail. You open it up, and then you would get like a little mount and usually some kind of random item. That was pretty typical. This time, though, you're going to get a flare, and the flare is like many of the other ones in the game. There's a Mandalorian flare. There's a flare for getting all 8 class stories done. And there's a few others, and this one is a flare that says that's Aurebesh letters, and it says in Aurebesh livestream Cantina 18. And so if you do want to work on your Aurebesh so you can read the Aurebesh that's in the game, the OotiniCast has an Aurebesh trainer done by TL years ago. It's still valid and it's still really helpful. So, and because of that, I actually could read it pretty darn easily. So yeah, it's going to be like this big gold flare around your character portrait, and it says Livestream Cantina 18. That code will be active until the end of this year, at the end of 2018, so you have time to do it, but might as well get it done. It's really easy and it's really quick. So, some of the things in the actual 5.10 that's coming out. Master Mode Gods from the Machine. Speaking of, Dr. SWTOR, you mentioned this earlier as something that the hardcore people wanted. Well, it's coming. It's going to be on the PTS in just a few days. They're also changing Veteran. So the Veteran, which they had said earlier that they made it hard on purpose because it was the only hard mode that was going to be at that point, but they did change their mind. They made some jokes about it, but basically they heard from the community and the people on the operation team and so forth wanted to do it. So they have added, or they are adding, Master Mode Gods from the Machine, and they're also altering Veteran to make it slightly easier. It was a little bit harder, and it was quite challenging from what I've heard, but it is going to be slightly easier after this. They said that both modes, unlike Story Mode, which is sort of a pickup mode, pickup group mode, both Veteran and Master are definitely meant for groups that are on comms, and they know each other, and they play with each other, and all that sort of thing. But they said that, Veteran, as the easier one, is more plan ahead, so that you can kind of know how the fight is going to the fight is going to happen before it happens. Essentially, in other words, you'll know when the major moves by the boss are being done and so on. But Master Mode, they're going to be tending to throw things at you more randomly, where you can know in general what's going to happen, but you won't necessarily know exactly when they're going to happen or the exact order that they're going to happen in. So interesting philosophy there. Yeah, I thought and that's a little different from what I've seen in the past. I mean, usually Master Mode just means, one more, usually it's like one more thing added to the fight and everything's a little harder. That's usually, that was like how it went in the past. This sounds a little different, but, still along the same lines. Along with Master Mode, the Master Mode is coming Masterwork Armor, so they're considering it Tier 5, although they sort of backed off and said it is Tier 5, but it's not really a full Tier 5 because there's not there's not blue and purple and all that sort of stuff. It's just a level 252 artifact and 258 legendary. Everything has set bonuses, and it has generally the same stat breakdowns as previous tiers. In other words, they're not going to all of a sudden weight crit a lot more than whatever, that sort of thing.
Right.
So that's what they meant by that. It is partly crafted, which is kind of cool. There are bind on equip schematics from the trainer. You get mats from crew skills, from OSIS. I still want to say OSIS because it's spelled OSSUS, and that's the new planet. We'll talk more about that later.
Right.
But yeah, you get from crew skills, from OSIS, from PvP Conquest, and Gods from the Machine bosses. So the crafters can do their part. You can also get it from gameplay. Gear can be purchased from the rep vendor with Masterwork Shards. Masterwork Shards are earned from a new special weekly mission, from OSIS, from weeklies, from unassembled components, and from command crates. And 252 gear can be acquired rarely from command crates at rank 300 only, and from the OSIS World Boss Weekly. And finally, they did say that because the crafters do make stuff that is bind on equip, you can, of course, buy it from someone who has made it, or you can get it off the GTN. So pretty cool. What did you think about that, Dr. SWTOR?
Well, first off, Chill, I want to congratulate you on doing something that Musco can't seem to do, which is you said Master Mode operations frequently in our conversation so far. Right, and it seems like in BioWare they still really love calling it Nightmare.
Nightmare Mode, yeah.
Which I do too. If we're going to have a 90-minute live stream, Eric, just use your poll inside BioWare and get us Nightmare back. Like, it sounds more sinister.
Right.
So I just, I mean that all in fun. It doesn't matter what it's called. It still gives people nightmares. And it causes like 12 people to come back to the game for 6 days. So, I'm really glad that we're getting an extra level of difficulty. And I actually really am excited that they're using that kind of logic, that having Master trickles down to where Veteran is no longer the Master mode. Mm-hmm. I think that the way they did Temple of Sacrifice and the Ravagers falls into this kind of conundrum too, is since there is no Master level for those two, if I'm correct on this, Veteran mode is evil. And I wonder if they ever get like a free moment. This is always the problem when you have limited time. When you get free time, could all the ops just have Master mode restored to them? Because if there are materials that I need in order to improve my gear, and I can only get them by defeating Gods from the Machine on Master mode difficulty, why do I need the gear? That is the pinnacle of the game already. There's nowhere to go from there, so what use is the reward? For me it's like reverse logic. Right? Like, but I'm glad it's there. I've never understood how you get the gear from beating this thing that you needed in order to beat this thing. I would much rather that the gear you get prepares you for the next level. I want to see how it works. It's very confusing. So the whole CXP crate thing was supposed to abolish the need for crystals and multiple vendors and turning in components or whatever.
Yeah, they hoped.
Right? And so now we're right back. I don't even understand everything they said about how that tier of gear is going to work. I think it's great the crafters can do it, but are those only the crafters that are lucky enough to have 7 people that can carry them through a master operation of Gods from the Machine because they need us? So I guess my question is, Jill, did you pick this up? How do they get the schematics in the first place?
Well, they did. He did say that a lot of the schematics would be purchased from the vendors.
Do you need like is that a OSIS reputation kind of thing?
I don't think so. It sounded like the stuff from the OSIS vendors was more going to be along the lines of either pieces of gear or like pieces that you need to get the gear from the vendors, from other vendors.
Okay. So, I mean, as long as it's accessible, once we see OSIS and we see these vendors in our spawning location, I think I'll have a better grasp on how these different new activities link together. I think that we should earn the rewards we get. So, if killing the world boss on OSIS gets us something that helps us gear up, I hope that world boss is tough. Like, I hope it's a legitimate world boss.
Yeah. There's 2 of them, apparently, so...
Yeah, I mean, that kind of stuff is really good because it helps to make the game feel like it was fully developed, right? So it's important at this stage in the life of the game for us to have areas like that, because I think Yavin 4 is still great. Like, I know people probably will disagree with me on that, but it feels like it was fully developed to me. There is a world boss in that temple area that takes a organized team to take down. There's weekly, it's very nice for harvesting your crafting mats of that level for that planet. And if we get another area like that where I'm going to log in every week and look at that like, oh, that's a weekly I can do. I really like how the weeklies reward with crates and help with that side of the game too. IOCath I don't like because I don't think you can complete that in one day.
Yeah, they designed it so you can't.
Right, and I really disagree with that choice. I'm not a game developer, but so they have the right to make that choice. I'm not arguing in a way like, how could you? But because of that decision, I do not run IOCath at all.
Right. I might do it this week because of double CXP, but on a normal week, I usually do skip IOCath.
Right. Because in the amount of time, what I do today and what I do to finish it off tomorrow, I can do Section X, Black Hole, CZ198, and probably Yavin 4 in that same amount of time. Right? So even though IOCath is very rewarding numerically, the number of CXP points you will earn, all 4 of those is still about 100,000 K more CXP if you have the alignment on your side too.
Yep.
Right? So
yeah, absolutely.
Now, that being said, I'm super excited for OSIS coming to the game. I think that's a really nice choice, and it sounds like they're developing it, so it's going to be a really nice daily, weekly area. So,
right.
So, I mean, I hope I sounded like that was constructive criticism, just about, how IOCath was just so different than everything, all the other weekly areas that we've gotten.
Yeah.
I think that it's really nice that they're looking at this game. I feel like they're looking at it like it's an MMO a little bit more than they did maybe in 2016.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah, I think so too. And we will be talking more about OSIS in a little bit. There was a fair bit in the stream about the upcoming PTS, which I'm not going to go into the details of because unless someone, listening to this is actually going to go into the PTS and do the testing, and I'm sure a few will, but it tends to be a very small percentage. And I think that it seemed to me like a lot of what he was saying is either stuff you would have known from other PTSs or will become pretty obvious when you get in there. Like there are special vendors so that you don't, so that you can start off with reasonable gear and, you can get free credits and stuff like that. We don't need to discuss that.
Yeah.
But one thing that will also be in the next, in 5.10, and I believe is going to be on the PTS as well, though they didn't really talk about it much. They talked mostly about the operation being on the PTS. But guild improvements are coming, and this is something I know Deck and Fee are very interested in. We're going to actually have guild progression where guilds gain levels. Kind of cool. Something that I think you see in a lot of games, like not just MMOs, but all kinds of games where there's guilds or any sort of group like that for multiple players. So there's going to be guild XP that you get from the conquests. There's going to be guild perks that are going to come along with this. These are going to be, some of them are going to be temporary perks slotted via the guild ship. So the guild master will have a little spot on the guild ship to change the temporary perks. And one of the ones that they specifically said would be coming would be including either extra or altering the conquest goals. So they're still working out the details, but the conquests you can either add some extra ones or alter the ones that are there to make them more appropriate for your particular guild, which is pretty cool. There's going to be a new guild currency and credits, and that's how they're purchased, guild currency and credits, and then guild currency are also earned from guild levels and again from conquest. So basically all goes back to conquest essentially. Conquests themselves are going to be improved. They said they want to have more consistent objectives across all conquests and less emphasis on daily repeatable missions. So in other words, they don't want to have people have to come back day after day. Apparently stuff that you can do more once a week on a character is going to be more of the emphasis, which is kind of cool. They did say that guild heraldry, which is something that was on the list, is not in 5.10. It is still on the list, and they do want it to come. They are working on it, but it's not going to be ready for 5.10, so they're not going to have guild heraldry when Jedi Under Siege drops. Guild management is going to be updated. There's going to be a guild landing page. It's a new interface to show the guild information at a glance. And then guild management is going to be updated with guild inspect, logging in information, guild mail, banning by legacy, and more guild ranks. So, and we know some of this from the roadmap. They talked about this pretty extensively in the last one about the roadmap. So this is all good sign that's going to be in 5.10. One other thing that's going to be changing with guild management, there's going to be PvP challenges, either Arena, Warzone, or Galactic Starfighter. It can be a minimum of 2x2 and a maximum by the game type that you choose. Groups and guilds can challenge each other, and it will have stat tracking. So this is all pretty impressive stuff. I thought that was very very impressive, and it kind of took me by surprise. I didn't know that this was exactly coming. Dr. SWTOR, right. I don't remember a lot of this from the roadmap, so this seemed kind of new to me.
Yeah, there were big elements of this reveal that I didn't see coming either. I think the applications available for having guilds be able to challenge each other in structured size type matches, that is like the coolest thing ever if you are a competitive style player.
Right.
It puts us in a situation where we could, in Utini guilds, have different teams in our guild whose whole purpose is to compete against other guilds. Right? Like those challenges can go out. Someone can be organizing like a season. I know there's ranked seasons, but I don't participate in that. So I'm thinking more about like competitive or competition between guilds. Like there could be community events where there's like a playoff format elimination tournament of Hutball.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like
Yeah.
we can now organize that. We can have it so it sounded like we can even pick which arena will come up. So,
It did seem like that, yeah.
yeah, so I just think this is really cool. I think that all of the additions to how guilds work, it sounds like there's actually going to be a purpose to the guildship beyond the ones that it already has that don't seem to be used very much because they're very expensive. And that's
Right.
neat too. I just think it's really interesting how they're looking at the parts of the game that are there and seeing how can we make them viable going towards the end of the 5.0 era.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And sorry, what Saber was saying, it would be interesting to know what they meant by the guild ships having changes on how you get them. They didn't really give much information on that, and that's true. There was a little bit, it was basically just an aside almost that they did. It sounded like they were going to make the basic ship like a lot less expensive, but then they didn't say what the other changes would be. My guess is that the rest of the ship would be at least as expensive as it was, because I don't think they want to make guild, the fully unlocked guild ships, way cheaper. But it sounded like they wanted to make at least the basic guild ship area cheaper so that they can have this new special interface area that apparently can do all these challenges and these other changes to the guild. So that's it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Right. The next area was the new world, and it's going to be a story area followed by dailies. So like Oricon, like Yavin 4 more or less, although you pretty much had to do that as part of the main story. But and this is very much like Oricon, where if you want to do the dailies, you're going to start off by doing the storyline, and then once you finish the storyline, then the dailies will open up. Most of the daily areas are kind of like that, at least a little bit.
Right.
It's called it's called OSIS, OSSUS, and I'm probably at some point going to pronounce it OSIS because it looks like that to me, but they were very consistent in calling it OSIS, so I'll do my best to remember that. Anyway, it showed up in the Tales of the Jedi comics, so if you're familiar with the comic books, you may have seen this planet before. It's an ancient center of Jedi activity. However, it was devastated by the Sith. There is a Kron cluster nearby, and they set off a bunch of supernovae, and it just wrecked the planet, essentially. Almost killed all the life on the planet. It's starting to come back. There is some plant life, but it's a pretty devastated world. There is essentially two different storylines because they will be different for the Republic and the Imperial. And then once you finish, it does open up the daily area. There'll be 10 or more daily missions on each side. And they also wrote down pulled from past design experience, but they didn't really talk about that, so we'll skip over that. Let's see. There will be a new reputation track to do. So let me pull that out since Republic and Reputation both start with Rep. So there's going to be a new reputation for OSIS. There are going to be 3 new datacrons. They said they haven't determined exactly which stats they're going to give, though. But there are going to be 3 datacrons, so that's kind of cool. 2 world bosses. There's going to be also Seeker Droid and Macro Binocular missions for this world, and lots of stronghold decorations to unlock. So it sounds about as complete as any other daily area we've ever seen, I'd say, and more so than most.
Yep, I can't wait to farm Groffits on OSIS for 7 hours straight. But all kidding aside, I hope that there is something really unique about those datacrons, because I know that a lot of people are quite fond of that element of our game.
Yeah, it is fun. It is fun. In fact, that's one of the things I'm sort of enjoying about leveling on the new server, because I don't have the datacrons.
Yeah.
And once they made the change to make it legacy wide, which was 2 years ago, 3 years ago, even maybe
Yes.
now. At the time, I was just sighing a big, huge sigh of relief just a huge sigh of relief, because every character I was leveling up, I was having to do tons and tons of datacron, searching. It got very annoying, and I would skip a bunch of them and all that sort of thing. And but now, then I got Datacron Master. It's all good. I'm all set. I never have to do it again. But because I never have to do it again, I haven't done it in a while, and so doing it on this new server is actually kind of fun, and actually seeing some of these Datacrons again after having not seen them for a very long time in some cases is actually kind of enjoyable. So I'm looking forward to seeing the new Datacrons, seeing how they hide them and so on. And they always put at least one in like a really hard spot. So I'm expecting that it's going to be a really tricky one in there somewhere.
Right. I'm kind of expecting something like one of the Rishi... No, wait. Not Rishi. Makeb. Where it was so elaborate. Like going around a mountain and through a facility and then down... Basically fall to your doom, but don't die, and then jump across some things, and then it's... it's right there looking...
The elevator of doom, and yeah.
Right. And... I just love the whole SWTOR Ninja Warrior vibe that you get when you pull that off.
Absolutely.
I miss it. I don't want to do it again to earn the stats. So that's weird. Like, I relate to that sigh of relief chill that you were talking about.
Yeah.
But, like, given the fact that the whole legacy sheet is filled out for me, if these Datacrons give some mastery or something... I hope they are included in the chart too. I think that's really important. Like, I want the stuff they're doing in the game to still integrate into the systems of the game. Because if I'm going to go find them, I want to see that get checked off on the place where it shows what I've been doing.
Oh, I'm pretty sure that they will. They definitely did, like, pretty much all along the rest of them. So
yeah.
Like Rishi and Makeb even, I think. All right, yeah, some more information about OSIS. If you are level 70, you can do OSIS, regardless of whether you've done Kotvi, Kotet, anything before or since. However, if you start it, it will auto-complete Kotvi, Kotet, anything before that, as well as the Fractured Alliances, which is what I like to call the Traitors Trilogy. And basically it will just auto choose a storyline for you if any of those choices come up in the future. And they just kind of said, yeah, it's mostly light side Republic and dark side Empire choices, just kind of by default. So if you're not super interested about your character's story, then you can just go ahead and start OSIS at any time once you're 70. They also made a mention of noting that not only those big storylines, but it'll also auto-lock a lot of companion choices. Like there's an Arcan romance, for instance, and a couple of other sort of meaty but sort of side things for companions, and it will lock some of those in before going forward. So if you want to do the Arcan romance conversation or not, just know that that starting OSIS is going to lock some of that in if you haven't done it. It's going to be done as an alliance. A lot of the alliance alerts will kind of go away essentially. Saboteur and Loyalist. So this is how they're handling the whole part at the end of IOCath, where you get to choose a side, and it doesn't have to be the same side that your character story was from. So if I have a smuggler and an agent mirror classes that that are kind of like my mains on Steel Shan. And if you want, the smuggler can do Republic, but the smuggler can instead choose to help the Empire, and vice versa. So what happens in this case for OSIS? Well, can you switch Republic to Imp? Not quite. You can't fully do it. You can't like take your smuggler and actually see the Imperial storyline. Instead, there's going to be sort of a Saboteur versus Loyalist storyline as part of the OSIS storyline. There's going to be like a special couple of moments where you can actually either help your faction or undermine your faction. So that's how this is going to be handled. You're essentially, if you're going to help the other side, you'll essentially become a double agent, essentially, for the story of OSIS. So in some ways, that almost makes it like to me, that almost makes it like 4 different stories that I have to see now.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, because I need to see the Republic, but then I need to see, the Republic with the Saboteur, and then I need to see the Empire, and I need to see the Empire with the Saboteur.
Can I blow your mind for a second, Chill?
Uh-huh.
But what if the story takes slightly different conversational turns or action turns based on light and dark side too? So now there's Imperial light side Saboteur, Imperial dark side Saboteur, Imperial light side loyalist, Imperial dark side loyalist.
It's possible.
Right? And that's just the Imperial side. Right?
Right.
So same thing on the Republic.
Right. So what is OSIS? Well, it's a hidden colony that was designed to help the Jedi rebuild after this long period of warfare that all the characters have gone through. So over the last 5 or so years, they've established or reestablished, really, because of course OSIS, as mentioned before, is like an ancient Jedi center of power. It was never the center of power, but it was a place where the Jedi did congregate quite a bit. And then, like I say, it was destroyed by the Sith. But over the last 5 or so years, they've established farms and other reclamation projects. The planet is still shrouded sometimes by the detritus from the supernovae. So, meanwhile, the Republic and the Empire are now saber-rattling because, of course, the Eternal Alliance has been weakened to the point of, not really mattering on a galactic scale anymore. So Republic and Empire immediately go back to their warlike ways. And so that's sort of just the general thing about OSIS. So I'm excited to see how that turns. And they talked a little bit about returning companions as well as some new characters, or at least returning characters. So the returning companions are, and spoiler alert spoiler alert for the next few minutes for sure.
Stop listening. Stop
exactly.
listening.
I know. I've already been talking about OSIS, but anyway. Returning companions include Doc. So Doc is back. That's kind of cool. He's a lot of fun. Kem Val. However, they did say that you only get to have Kem Val back as a companion if you sided with Kem Val in your class story. There's a point in the class story where you can essentially side with Kem Val or side with Zash. I won't go into the details, but if you've done the story, you know what I'm talking about. If you sided with Kem Val, this is how you're going to get him back. If you sided with Zash, then you already know what's happened because you've seen him in the third part of the Traitors trilogy, in the third Flashpoint. So you actually already know what happens about the Zash version. So now this is how you get Kem Val back if you chose his side in your class story. Which most of the time I have, but the times I've done that story, like most of the times I do, but then I have like one character who sided with Zash because I wanted to see what it was like.
Right.
So yeah, so it'll be interesting. And the next companion is Nadia Grell. So for the Consular, and a very important character too. It's like she's essentially like your main companion. I mean, there's there are others, but she's kind of like a main companion, and she is a romance character as well. And finally, Jaisa. And they didn't say light side or dark side Jaisa like they were saying before, but Jaisa Wilson, period. They're going to get both sides back at the same time, which is kind of cool. If you chose light side Jaisa, then you'll get it during the OSIS story. And if you chose the dark side, it'll be like a side mission, but you'll get it at the same time you're doing OSIS. So it'll be kind of, either way, it's going to be OSIS related. It's just that Jaisa will be kind of like right on OSIS, and the other one will be a side mission that you do around the same time. You only get them back as companions if you're on that class. So they're doing that tradition or it didn't used to be a tradition. It used to be like you could get Blizz back, no matter what class you were, for instance, and you still can. But more recently, they're doing this thing where pretty much only the class that had that companion can actually get the companion back, and that's continuing here. So, and there's also a romance change, which is kind of cool. Now he didn't mention Doc, and I tried to ask in the chat, hey, what about Doc? But they specifically said that Nadia and Jaisa romances can be same gender. So we've never had a class companion that you could do same gender romance with before. That didn't start until later. There was flirting on McKeb, and then of course with Lana and Theron and Koth, you could do same gender romances with them. But there was never a same-gender romance with any of the old class companions, even when they came back. But that's going to change. You can now there will be same-gender romance options for Nadia and Jaisa. And in addition, there will also be light side Jaisa romance, which was also not possible during the original story. If you're doing the warrior, you have Jaisa. If you choose the light side, then romance is not possible, because she's still a Jedi essentially, or in all but name, and so there's no romance possible. But they've changed that, and when she comes back, you will be able to start up a romance potentially. So pretty cool. I'm pretty happy about all that. Like I said, they didn't mention Doc, and I tried to ask it in chat, but they didn't happen to answer my question. I'm hoping that we'll find out soon enough whether Doc will be also same gender. They did say that previous ones that have come back, previous romance partners that have come back, they mentioned Mako specifically. They're not retro changing those yet, but they kind of hope to. They said it's on the list of what they want to do, but it's not like this is going to change every companion that's ever come out, or come back to us. So Mako, no, but Nadia and Jaisa, yes, and presumably going forward, a lot or all of them potentially will have this ability as well.
Right. I think that now at the beginning of the stream, Keith implied that Kemval would have a romance option, and
that was funny.
I pointed out last time we covered a stream chill that our community, at least the ones who show up for the live streams, seem really excited at that being a possibility. So, at the end of the stream, I'm confused because Keith is a good source of information for this game, and I couldn't tell if he was completely joking or not. And then
I thought he was joking, but
okay. So I do too wonder, why is it only that the deliberate information is about the female companions?
Yeah, I don't know.
If I want to do, a little bit of my social soapbox here, that's not cool.
Right.
Why would you only program when you're?
That's why I was trying to. That's why I was trying to get them to answer about Doc.
Yeah.
And I really can't answer that. Is it because they're not doing Doc, and so they just didn't mention it? Is it because it's a couple of probably straight guys doing the live stream?
Right.
Is it because they have run the numbers and they know that overwhelmingly people romance Jaisa and Jaisa and well, not Kira, but Nadia Grell a lot more than Doc? I don't know.
Well, I think that has to do with, I don't know, that you kind of have one romantic option on most classes, but it's depending on which gender you created that character as well.
Correct.
So if you picked Nadia, is there anyone you're not picking? That's Sith Warrior, right?
Correct. Yeah, there's no other option for the male Sith Warrior, no.
Well, Vet, right? Vet would be an option.
Oh, wait.
Right, so you're choosing...
So Jaisa or Vet, yeah, that's right.
Right.
That's right. There's only a couple of classes that have more than one option, and it's agent, male agent, I think male smuggler, and then I guess the warrior. I think that's it. And it's all male too. I've noticed that too.
If you remove the gender lines from that class, then Quinn is also a romantic option, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, maybe they know nobody likes Quinn, right? That's fact. You heard it. Dr. SWTOR, 2018. Nobody likes Quinn. I see in the chat too, on the conversation of Doc, he has his hologram, right? So if we're talking about, removing the binary of like gender and sexuality, like there's so much opportunity there if anyone can romance. Wait, that's not Doc, that's Theron Cedrax, right? I'm getting my male companions mixed up, everyone. Right? Okay, well, I almost led into a different conversation there, but I think it is good to have options in a video game. There are a lot of people that form their interest in the companions through those romance options and through completing the character's personal quest, the chain of 4 missions that send you out of your class path and to do something that matters just to the companion. So I like to see that stuff being restored to the game and make the companions into actual round characters as opposed to them just being flat characters that heal for you.
Right.
So
some really important characters coming back. All of them, well, except for Kimval, are romance options, and then Kimval is a very important one for the sorcerer. So, right, and they had some returning characters as well, and new characters / returning characters. Tau Adair is a Jedi new character. She's the head of security for the colony, and she had a kind of a cool look, and they kind of pointed it out. Some like part of the side of her head was shaved, and where it was shaved, the ancient light side symbol was tattooed to the side of her head. That was pretty cool.
Yep.
Darth Malora, a Sith, who we've seen before on Korriban. Yes, they had a lot of fun teasing it as though it was going to be Darth Malgus, but instead it's Darth Malora. So Darth Malora, or she wouldn't have been, I don't think she would have been Darth at the time, but she has a very minor side mission on Korriban, the Brains of the Beast. But now she's on the Dark Council, and she's heavily into Sith alchemy, so that's pretty cool. I think I remember that story. Is she the one that you can, like, there's, like, the guy who is looking at the Taguda brains, and he has you go get the brains, and then you can, and she's the one who, she's the one who's trying to undermine him.
Right, and you choose who to give the
brains to, essentially, and whether to like reveal her to her master. So yeah.
I believe that's
I think that's her.
Correct. So
I'm pretty sure that's her.
Depending on what class you are, if they can tie your choice from
all
like if you ever
the
did way that. Back, like for me that's like December 22nd, 2011, right? Like it would be so cool for that to be like, you outed me to my master.
That's
you
right.
Suck.
You suck.
I'm glad your eternal empire blew up in your face.
Yep.
Right? Like I need it to be that well thought out.
I
Choices
love that.
matter, and we've been taunting BioWare about that for years, and it's like, now what?
That would be awesome if we can find that out.
You.
All right. Another new one is General Dayron, a Republic infantry general. He's basically a bipedal lizard with a big single horn on his head. It's a new species in SWTOR called Krex. So that's going to be the first speaking Krex. Apparently they mentioned that they've had the Krex show up a couple of times. I don't remember where, but apparently they've shown up a couple of minor times, but this is the first time one is actually spoken. On the Sith side, Major Anri, an Imperial Special Forces Commando, and she's a Twi'lek, so that's pretty cool. And finally, Master Nosdaral. So that's actually a very famous character. The Journals of Nosdaral were something that came out even before SWTOR was released. It sort of had a bunch of history, the history of the galaxy, basically from the formation of the Jedi right up to the events of what happened immediately before SWTOR, which would be like the Battle of Coruscant. So the Journals of Nosdaral was how we were sort of introduced to the ancient history of the galaxy. And also Nosdaral, I believe, shows up in some of the class stories. So it's very cool to see him show up here. And and finally, there's a couple of people that they mentioned that are going to be for the Saboteur versus Loyalist storylines. So there's going to be essentially a person who's going to sort of head up that part of the storyline for you. On the Republic, it'll be Jonas Balkar, and on the Empire, it's NR02, who is the droid from the Black Talon Flashpoint. And if I remember correctly, he's like a protocol droid, only he has like a real murderous streak, from what I remember. So so Black Talon, the droid from that one, is going to be showing up as well. And they reiterated that 510 is going to be coming in December. A more accurate date will be forthcoming, certainly after the PTS has had a chance to get rolling. And then they finally did the Dreadseed weapon tuning and Merciless Seeker armor set. They gave away a couple of those to a lucky watcher of their stream. And yeah, the Dreadseed weapon tuning was interesting because it's not what I would consider a weapon tuning. I mean, It clearly is going to be slotted in that slot, but what it does is it puts a Dread Seed, if you've ever done that storyline, it's part of the, is that the macro monocular one? Or I think it's actually the Seeker droid, isn't it? Yeah, it's a Seeker droid, because you're looking for the Dread Seeds, and a lot of them are buried and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, so you actually, if you have this tuning on, it actually puts a Dread Seed on your back, and creates this like nasty reddish glow over most of your body. It's very cool looking. They actually had the whole animation there for it. And then the Merciless Seeker armor set is going to be coming as well. These are both going to be like cartel items. And they showed a picture of that. I didn't grab a picture of that actually, but the Merciless Seeker armor set is basically it's Mandalorian, only it's sort of like an ancient Mandalorian, and it has like this toothy sort of chitinous look. It was very cool looking. I like that a lot. And I did put in a picture that they did of all the people on the it's in the show notes, of all the people, including Master Nostoral and so forth, that we're going to meet. And that's going to be the splash art for 5.10 when it comes. I'm very much looking forward to it. I'm always happy to see more story. It'll be interesting to see how like the new levels of gear change things up, and I'm very much excited to see what they do here. Doc?
I am too. I think the characters have really solid looks to them. I'm excited to meet them. Mm-hmm. I'm a little bit upset that I have to play on the Republic side in order to meet the ones I'm most excited about, but that's okay. I have a Sage that I use for ops, so that won't be too hard of an adjustment. I think that there's a lot of upside to the things that were announced in the live stream today. Mm-hmm. I like the idea of a weapon tuning having such an aesthetic modification to the character. Like, if they can do that, just imagine what our characters can become if they really unlock that box.
Exactly.
Just based on that tuning slot, right, on the weapon. It's sort of like it opens up the possibility of having just as much flexibility with the visual presentation of our tunes as we have with what customization we put in our companions. Mm-hmm. Honestly, like we have the zombie rat ghoul undead look for some of them. We have the we can alter their ethnicities, and we can, like, Andronicus can have the blood red eyes with the more pronounced reddish orange tattoo on his face. I really like looking at what is available for every companion. Right. If we get to a point where there's 4 or 5 different things like that Dreadseed modification for our tunes, like that's really cool. Like, yeah, customizing our character is one of the main reasons we do what we do. So just showing they can do that with the slot on our weapons is really neat.
And as much as I like the tunings, a lot of them are a little bit subtle when it comes to, like, actual in-game representation. Yeah. Especially, like, there's the toxic one that is mostly like, a bit of dripping toxin from the end of your weapon and a bit of a glow, or a bit of a gassy, vapor, but it's kind of subtle. There's some other ones that are very cool when you zoom in and you look at them really close, But if you're just, if you're fighting, or if you're just kind of zoomed all the way out, you don't get a whole lot out of it. The Dreadseed one, that's going to be unmistakable.
Right, and it's tough because in this game, so many of the weapons are lightsabers, right? So the customization or the visual appeal of weapons in a lot of other MMOs comes from the design of the actual blade part of the weapon. And in SWTOR, the only customizable part for most weapons is the hilt, which is 80% covered up by your hand. Right? And so the blasters, they have some visual nuance to them too, but sometimes they're just guns, right? So you have the same thing where unless it's a really involved design to the weapon, that person can run right by you and you don't notice it.
Yeah, right? Absolutely.
So another thing I think is really cool that I want to just tack in here before we move forward is it's so cool to have a great looking armor set that is a cartel market purchase, and you can earn it in very lucky and rare ways from winning things in the game. I think that is something that has been missing for some of the best looks in the game for a very long time, ever since the cartel market became a thing. And I know BioWare needs to earn their money, and I don't mind purchasing things from them that are going to make me enjoy the play of my characters more. And who knows what the drop rate on this thing is. Like, I hope for their financial health that it doesn't cut into the number of people who are actually interested enough to buy packs or direct sale that gear.
Right.
But I personally feel like there should be something that you can do to get the chance at earning anything. I really do. Like, a good model for how that would work is the person who guards the rock bridge on Oricon. I've never gotten that hat. I've never farmed it either. But I don't have that hat. But I know that I could if I was dedicated to needing that hat enough. That hat is not, or that helmet headpiece is not on the cartel market. So it's not exactly what I'm talking about here.
Right.
But I just think that having these weird things that you just have to know, or you have to do the research and you have to plan out your activity so you can do it, because this outfit only drops at a 0.001 rate on days in October that the date is an even number. Like,
right.
Sorry, guy. Like, you're lucky I'm not making your MMO, because that's how everything would work. But, I just think it's really neat when you can get your group together, go kill the eyeless, have a chance to get this armor set.
Excellent. All right. And let's see. One note about the next episode is there's going to be a tentative change to the schedule just for the next episode only. We're going to probably do it on Tuesday, October 23rd instead of the 25th due to some upcoming scheduling conflicts. And then we'll almost certainly revert back to Thursdays. And that's a show. If you'd like to play with us in the Utini Knights Guild on the Republic side of the CTL Sean server, or in our Guild on the Empire side, do a /C join Utini to join the Utini channel. Then let us know you're a fan of the show. You can email questions and comments about the show to OotiniCast@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter using @OotiniCast. You can find contact details for all of us on our website, OotiniCast.com, which includes how to subscribe to us using iTunes, Stitcher, and the rest. We record the show live bi-weekly on Thursdays at 6 p.m. Pacific. Go to OotiniCast.com/live to find out how to join in. Our theme song is Doomsday by Jean-Paul Zogby. And thank you to the chat room, and thanks Dr. SWTOR.
Yeah, thanks, Chill. Have a good night, everyone.
And we'll see you next week. Or next show, actually, in this case. All right. Thanks for coming, everyone. Like I say, probably a week, it's like a week from next Tuesday is going to be the next show. And thanks for coming along.
Yep, thanks.